So I think I may have misspoken in one of my videos where I talked about the content delivery that Xbox is bringing very soon is something that PlayStation needs to be worried about. In fact, I think I said PlayStation ought to be shaking in their boots because the amount of content is something that is made possible by PlayStation's world. They built this world that we're in. First of all, the fans criticized Xbox into oblivion. Xbox went ahead and did something about it. Then PlayStation tried to money hat more Bethesda games after having money hatted Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. They tried to touch Starfield. It pushed Xbox again, who then bought the whole freaking thing. Then Activision was pretty much milking Xbox for more of a profit share under threat that they were going to take Call of Duty away. And then when they saw that their business was probably not as stable at the end of the day, they went back to, Microsoft and said, hey, do you want to purchase us? And Microsoft said, of course. The world that we're living in gaming is a world that PlayStation has actually built. And when I said that PlayStation ought to be shaking in its boots, the reason I said I may have misspoke is actually they don't need to do that. They already are doing that. For those of you who know, the documentation of documentations that came out of the Insomniac leak shows that PlayStation says, or at least according to their analysis, says that they are already dated, their pillars, and behind the competition. Not only are they behind the competition in some of the things that they actually had said, because this was all about the Activision threat in most cases, but there are also other threats on the horizon that's looming right now that PlayStation has to pretty much take into account. To this, an audience member of mine quotes me and says PlayStation should be shaking in their boots. Meanwhile, Xbox been holding L's in each hand as they lost the last two generations by a landslide. You Xbots say anything. Number one, not even an Xbox fan. I just happened to pretty much see how some hyper PlayStation fans were, not matching energy levels when it came out to PlayStation, while they held Xbox accountable to an unreasonable standard in many cases. And I thought, why don't we point out the hypocrisy in our own house? And you see, one of the craziest things that's probably maybe offended some more of the PlayStation fans is that I'm a PlayStation guy. Let me tell you what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. When I moved from PlayStation to PC, it was simply because I wanted better FPS, and I didn't want to be paying for PS Plus for everything. I then had basically spent, I think, close to over 1,000 hours playing a game called Tom Clancy's The Division, which is a game that after I played hundreds of hours of it on PlayStation, I moved to PC and put in another 788 hours and 40 minutes as of the time of this recording. Then, following that, I played another game named Tom Clancy's The Division 2, where I put about 975 hours of that game and probably a total of about maybe 4,000 or 5,000 YouTube videos on the topic. You can go check my, Division channel if you can find it. No problem. It's sitting out there. I'm not interested in telling that in this video anyways. And then I also played on PlayStation for a few more hours. So neck and neck in terms of, what kinds of games I play, PlayStation is actually there. So I've actually been in the ecosystem and I know the way things are going. For the most part, I kind of thought maybe I like these single player games, and I do, but then I find myself grinding on games like The Division, playing Mortal Kombat. I used to play FIFA at a point, and these were games that I called just casual experiences. When I wanted some more hardcore stuff, maybe I'd go into The Division and the min-maxing and all of that, but at the end of the day, it all shook down to that I myself was a player who played a lot of these live service games. Even though I don't buy microtransactions much, I guess I bought like a few costumes or so. Hey, whatever. Hush, leave me alone. It still goes to show that the majority of gamers are actually playing these games. PlayStation right now is in its own panic mode. They may come out and poise out for you so that you can buy a $900 console, but at the same time, their house is on fire. Have you seen the sales of Until Dawn Remake? This game, as I hate for games to fail more than anybody else, this game has sold poorly as a remake. And somebody opens their hands and said, Xbox is catching L's on both hands. I mean, if you wanted to actually check PlayStation's second hand, in there is a game named Concord. Oh, wait, It's not there anymore because it got disappeared. And believe you me, that game is going to come out, and PlayStation fans, they're going to make you pay for that game. You really do think that you will pay for Concord. Do you know how you're going to pay for Concord? You're going to pay for it with your premium purchases. Yes. I mean, you're bragging about it, but you don't realize that this is just them going to milk you like a sugar daddy, because this is exactly what PlayStation wants. I mean, they're even telling you in writing here. When the journalists were putting this stuff out, I'm very shocked that none of them took each single point and wrote like a 6,000 pager on it, because everything really boils down to what we've been seeing the last few years. I mean, think about it. Did I say 6,000 pager? I meant 6,000 words. I mean, 6,000 pager maybe if you want to go all the way back. But when PlayStation finally realized that, man, they are going to get schooled in this particular generation because their golden goose went away, they realized that a premium sales model is the central approach. So buy that PlayStation 5 Pro. They want you to. Those talking heads that you're giving super chats to, they're going to use their YouTube revenue and their Twitch chats and all that to buy the PS5 Pro. Y'all have already paid for it and subsidized it for them. So when they talk about it, it's not like they're going to really have to, in a sense, run out there and, like every other normal person, fork out money from their own, reserves. For the most part, you will subsidize it. If they fork it out of their own reserves, when they bring it out in front of you and talk about 1 or 5 more games, more people are going to give them super chats. But what's even still at the base of this, because you know what? I don't want to, in a sense, hate on anybody's hustle. PlayStation themselves want you to pay for this stuff. There are also conversations right now, and I didn't want to make a video about this, that Concord is still getting updates on Steam. I wonder why. Do you think in about a year or two, somehow the studio is not going to come out and be like, hey, here's another new video game that we made for you guys, built on all of the same, frameworks and all the same engine code and everything? Nah, that game's not going anywhere. They're going to recycle that bad boy and they're going to sell it to you, my dude. They're going to give you the character models that you probably wanted or some mechanic that you probably would have loved to see, and you're going to pay for it because this is the PlayStation that I've basically seen. I mean, this is not anything to, like one of my audience members said, you just want to see PlayStation cease to exist. No, this version of PlayStation, I would like to see it cease to exist. But at the core, I'd like for them to be much more pro-consumer. That's what has given Xbox the edge. Xbox had no other choice. Do you not see it? They had been catching those L's, yes, but when they caught so many L's and they were like, if we still want to participate in this gaming industry, we really got to do something that is out of the ordinary. And out of the ordinary is literally where they're living. Can you imagine? You just think about this, like go and chew on this for a few hours, that the biggest selling game annually is going to hit everybody's, account, or is going to basically come in front of everybody, and you can get that game for an $11 or $19.99 or whatever, but less than $20 a month subscription. You don't have to sweat it during the holiday season to play Call of Duty. Not only that, to play Indiana Jones, you don't got to sweat it. Not only that, to play a plethora of these games, you don't have to sweat it. You can pause your subscription. I know some people say, shut up. You can just stop your subscription. If you're in a month where you're very busy or a couple of spells where you don't have time, go in and cancel your subscription. My goodness. When you're ready, you come back and you basically get your subscription back in place. I mean, we just found out again that, these digital games, you don't own them anyways. So, I mean, if at the end of the day, it's going to cost you money to actually pay so much to rent them, why not just pay very little at the end of the day? This is what a lot of people have been talking about. I think at this point in time, I may probably take that path. Game Pass and good old games. If I'm not owning it, I'm renting it because I'm renting it anyways at the end of the day. Now, granted, some developers on Steam will let you, basically hold on to your titles regardless of, whatever is there, and they don't use DRM, but they're few and far between. So as gaming is changing, as I found out that I myself, a live service games player, is seeing that this shift is happening, I already am pointing out that, hey, man, this is where PlayStation has a lot of opportunity. And some PlayStation fans just don't want to see that happen. They're satisfied with what they have from PlayStation. That's fine. But you can't claim that Xbox is, not as strong as Xbox actually is right now with a mediocre PlayStation that's actually deleting games from existence. Bro, even PlayStation didn't even Xbox didn't do that with Sunset Overdrive. And that game was actually claimed to have made $500. And the game still exists for anybody who wants to play it till this day. So for you to say that is just quite extraordinary at the end of the day. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys so much. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.